Hey, welcome back to Good to Geek Out, breaking down Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 5, dealing with the aftermath of U.S. Agent, a.k.a. John Walker, taking it a bit too far. Rob Lucy coming at you from Phoenix, Oregon. Good to be here.
Editor, San Antonio. Great to be here to talk about Episode 5, Truth. The truth will be set free.
This is Jay, a.k.a. Night Thrash, a.k.a. Dwayne Taylor. Where the hell is my New Warriors show? From LA, California.
If they can turn Guardians of the Galaxy into $1 million franchise, they can do wonders with New Warriors. What up? It's Rob Strotter, aka Boba Fresh, coming at you from San Francisco, by way of LA, by way of my mother, by way of the universe exploding.
All right, we begin this episode directly after John Walker murks that guy in front of about 100 cell phone cameras and needs to make a quick exit, goes to where Battlestar was taken out and is just kind of collecting his thoughts. Enter Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Man, that shit, it was like Civil War all over again, except the roles were just reversed. I felt like there was even some moves I might have seen in Civil War that were repeated during that fight. It should have been a movie. That should have been a movie.
The long shot of them moving outdoors, I thought was really interesting because it would have assumed that it would have gone the direct beat right after, like you would have gone right after the murder, but they got him running away from something. Then they stop when they have him in the battle star. His voice like starts getting through him and like his eyes. This is the episode, and I'll get into it a little bit later, that this kid Russell nails his acting in this one. And he does a lot with the intensity of his eyes behind like the little slits that no one else in Marvel's really been pushed to do. It actually made me think about beautiful scene that's set up. And you're back in the like warehouse center where some reminiscent of where Bucky got his arm viced up. Like it was cool.
Yeah, you can see him like he was going, further into his psychosis, and he's yelling at Bucky and Falcon. It's like, hey, I had to do it. He killed Hopkins. He killed Hopkins. I had to take him out. And they both look at him.
Yeah, no, and then like a true psychopath, he starts yelling at them, "Why are you making me do this?"
Right.
That's this guy's over the edge of yelling at someone and blaming them for your current actions.
The funny part? The funny part is like going back is like when he did it and those cell phones are looking at him and he's just looking like, okay, I did it. So what? I did it. The second part is like, I think he was going to listen to them. He was listening to them. He was like, all right, man, it's cool. Until Sam said, hey, you're going to have to give up the shield. He was like, oh, you almost had me there. So that's what this is about, huh?
Let's be real. Bucky came in for that smoke from the get. Bucky all about that smoke from the get.
Yeah, he did. But Sam wasn't really trying to work with him though. But he was getting them. He was telling them, he's like, I understand. It was like, hey man, you have to keep the shield, man.
It does a wonderful job underlining Sam's power and his ability to be human and his ability to connect with people and to talk people down. Like going back to his first appearance when we see him, like him and Steve talking in the PTSD with the other veteran soldiers. It's like he's always been a caring character. Like his thing has always been caring about others in a way that none of the other Avengers end up even stepping close to.
Point. I mean, what I liked about, we could talk about that, like the details of that fight. It was a great fight. But what I liked at the end is when Bucky doesn't even look down. He picks up the shield and gives it straight to Sam. Like, here you go. Like, here you go. And it's like nonchalant. He just walks away. You wouldn't notice unless you were paying attention. And I was like, oh, dude, like, and that's kind of also reflective of what you were saying about how he just cares about other people, and he's not doing it for himself. If he was, he would have took the shield and walked off.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he's the one that
the shield.
beat Walker. So
Yeah, no, Sam would have let the shield just lay there. He would have just picked it up so some kids didn't pick it up. Like, it was great symbolism.
And then that scene though, when Falcon gets the shield and he's like frantically trying to wipe the blood off it. Oh my god, dude, that's art right there. That's amazing. So much symbolism, and like it invokes emotion in you no matter. Yeah.
And it's a great flip from the last scene of the last episode with Walker.
Yep, exactly. And that's what I think. That's why I said that last episode that Cap, the way that Jay, what you just said about the way that he stands and looks at everyone after he does that, and not only that, he puts the shield back on. He puts the shield back on and stands there like, yeah, I'm just going to work. And then the blood, I said that like Cap should have been at least ashamed or like horrified by what had happened. And this Cap had no emotion towards it. So when you see the new Cap, who should be the real Cap anyway, it's a very Steve-like reaction. Like it's horrifying.
See, that's the character development. That's the character development of what we call an anti-hero. I mean, you would think that the character development, when his character first started off, you would think that he is this symbol of hero and truth. But deep down inside, as you see it, and that was the shining point right there, where he just looks at he looks at the people, the cell phones. He's like, yeah, I did it. Okay, so what? I'm a soldier. Or he has is very dark inside that head of his, and it's just like, okay, fine. He'll do the right thing, but he has no reserves.
There are rules of engagement that he violated all over the board. But anyway, again, Lucy, as a veteran, I'm super interested in your opinions on his mental breakdown, basically.
Well, you touched on it before. Sam has been dealing with soldiers with PTSD. That was his career when he got out of there. So he understands the place that John Walker is coming from, and he's definitely trying to reason with him. And I think it's also a good time to segue into the aftermath of the fight, where John Walker is standing in front of Congress or this board of judges. They're judging him, and he's like, I have done everything you have asked of me. I've gone above and beyond. I've done what you told me to do. There are circumstances and they're like, I don't want to hear it. You're going to burn in front of everybody. You're lucky we're not doing worse to you. We're just going to give you a bad conduct discharge, call it the big chicken dinner coming out of the military for all the stuff that he has done. And I'm sitting there and it's like, they just went, they went straight to the gallows with him. They didn't, give it didn't break it down or like, hey, maybe we can help you like a veteran with PTSD. It's like, we're going to hang you out to dry. And hey, and they're like, shut up, get out of my face. And he's like, and this is how you treat me after probably 15 or 20 years of faithful service to the, I felt bad for him. And I was asking myself, like, yeah, he did wrong, but does the punishment fit the crime there? It also, it kind of goes into the heart of this episode where there's a lot of gray area. Like, what is the GRC? Are they doing the right thing? They think they're doing the right, in their minds, they're doing the right thing. And it's just going to be their way or the highway. It's like, hey, this is the way it's going to be. We're the smartest guys in the room and girls in the room. So, hey, it's going to be like this. And that's where, the other characters, Bucky and Falcon, are kind of conflicted about this. They're like, hey, can we look at the gray area? Why are all these people thinking this in absolutes? The flag smashers on one hand and then the GRC on the other hand. And, it's, Sam Wilson, who's the guy in the middle of this. And then John Walker's starting to see it, and he walks off, and we have the introduction of Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. But what did you guys think about that? From people that weren't in the military, did you feel kind of the same way? Like, wow, how I felt sympathy for John Walker, maybe in the one or two episodes lost it. I'm sitting there watching. I was like, oh, he's got a point there.
My thoughts about it is that, like, I feel bad for him, but then I don't. I feel bad for him for what Lucy said previously, what he said about, I did what you asked me to. But I'm about to get real controversial here. The reason why I do not feel bad for him, that part of why I don't feel bad for him, is because Sam tried talking to him at first. He tried talking to him, and he was basically, he tried to reason with him all throughout these episodes. And what did Walker do? Blow him off. He blew him off. He blew him off every time. He even told him to stay the hell out of my way. So I got to think about that. I'm like, if I was saying, I'm like, well, you know what? I feel you, but you got to give up that shield. You didn't deserve it in the first place because you're nobody. You just got the shield on orders. Then second of all, you felt like you were living up to Captain America when you didn't know what this man went through. He certainly didn't kill someone in cold blood like he did. I mean, he has the mind of a soldier. So why didn't he care? I just got one question on this. Okay, so if he's following orders, obviously he didn't care about being Captain America before those orders. So why care now? Why you care now?
He wouldn't care about being Captain America. It's a kid. Like, did you ever want to be Magic or Jordan or anybody? Like, and not to say that you want to be them, but you want to be them. Like you want to be like Mike. That whole idea. And so if Captain America was real, and go to your other point that this hypes up is his fallibility as a man, let alone his fallibility as American. And it really highlights Captain America's true power, which is his engagement of the truth and the fact, like you said, that he can see people from all sides. That's something that I always find that Superman never equates directly with Captain America, because Superman is still an outsider. It's no fault of Superman. He's fucking from Krypton. But like Steve represents America, and he represents old school America. He represents broken America that needs to get fixed. He represents America that went to fight against Nazis, but still had segregated units. And he knows all of this, and he addresses all of this. And so his superpower ends up being somewhat like the truth, the ability to present the truth the same way that Sam's is to negotiate and connect with people.
So from this point, that's where they kind of part ways for a minute because there's nothing to do. And I think Torres has that line, something, want to remember it? Sometimes the only thing to do is wait until there's something to do, something along those lines. And then Torres also gets the wings.
Yeah, that sounded very thin red line-ish. And okay, some things about the wings, and Lucy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but some things about the wings, and it's going to be a short thing. It's like the Captain America shield. Who owns what? Like, this shit is pretty expensive, right? Like, can you just leave?
So Bucky goes off looking for Zemo, and the next scene is him, Zemo with the gun.
Oh, right. Crossing the name off the list. Okay.
Yeah. Which is a great scene. What do you think about that scene, Lucy?
No, it was interesting because it was that moment where Bucky has the gun in his face, and you don't know if Zemo's going to pull something out of his ass and take Bucky out, or if he knows what's going on, and then Bucky pulls the trigger on him, and then the two Wakandans walk up, and you're like, oh. And then what I didn't get is why they wanted to take him to the raft. That's the only that about that scene. It's like, okay, why not take him back to Wakanda? Why's it got to be the raft?
I was going to say something back to the Val, and I was going to leave it at this. Like, I know you said that, like, she comes out in Black Widow, and obviously because of scheduling reasons, we couldn't see that first before Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I would have loved to see Val somewhere in the 8 seasons or some mention of, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because obviously she had a lot to do with Nick Fury's history. She was his girlfriend. So, of course, it's like, can we get some type of get some type of mention or something like that, because she's not mentioned in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
She's not mentioned at all.
Well, interesting points. We'll just have to assume, in real world, they probably, she wouldn't pee on that TV show. She's legit. She's Louis. She can get paid. Second, third.
So you saying you saying she's too good to be on a show where Samuel L. Jackson, who makes a lot more money, guest starred on season 1? So
For her-
Julius Louis Dreyfus can't be on that
Samuel
show.
Jackson, okay, Samuel Jackson makes up the Marvel Universe. He also kicked off the Avengers and Tony Stark. And so his cameo is necessary to legitimize everything. Adding her cameo in would just be confusing and cost them their entire budget for a season.
Good point.
The other thing that I want to point out that you make up a good point, though, is that canonically she does have a long-term relationship with Nick Fury. Will America be ready for a black man with a white woman as a love interest or as a past love interest? Because
Luke Cage, Jessica Jones.
Dinner is one of the only times that really happens. They always team up Will Smith with a Latina. It just doesn't go. Black women can be with white guys, but black men cannot be with white women. So I'm really interested to see.
Ask Mike Coulter that. Ask Mike Coulter and Christian Ritter that, because they were doing it just fine. A little bit just fine.
You really had to go through your Rolodex to find that example, because I'm
not going any deeper than that.
I just say 80 years of cinema.
That's all I'm gonna say on that matter, man. I'm just gonna say Mike Coulter and Kristen Ritter were doing just fine with that whole aspect you just named with the black man and the white woman. I'm pretty sure that Samuel Jackson and Julia Louis-Dreyfus could have done it just fine. They could have showed some type of. I mean, it would compromise.
Will it? But they're okay. Again, actors on a throwaway show that no one was watching. I'm sorry. Versus marquee names. It's an entirely like. If they are in a relationship, that makes CNN. Like I'll be real. I'll be real. They'll be like, did you know on ... what if? And they'll do a what if episode with Nick Fury kissing her, and the world's gonna blow up. Prediction right there. Ed, do not delete this footage. I'm calling it right now.
So you telling me that they're gonna make a big deal out of Samuel Jackson and Julia Louis-Dreyfus? Like doing some type of, is that what you're telling me? That they're going to make some type of scene doing that? Like they're going to make a big deal out of that on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hypothetically speaking, if they would have
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is nothing. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is dead. No one cares about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Fine.
I will say I did watch it, but I also watched The Runaways, and I know no Marvel marquee name was going to show up on The Runaways.
That's true. That is true.
Nobody.
It's one of those up and coming shows.
It's over. It's like Cloak and Dagger. All right, so next scene. Next scene is when he like what Lucy was saying earlier, when Falcon finally goes to go see Isaiah Bradley and Patriot. What do you guys think about that scene? That was a lot of back and forth energy.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was dope. Having a conversation regarding generational trauma when it can be affirmed by your own personal experiences. And that's just the relation of a black man talking to a young black man. That's every old black man talking to every young black man. But yeah, they have an extra burden on their shoulders because the whole world is watching. Nice. And they end up doing a beautiful just chemistry back and forth. Like, I don't know how many people they auditioned for the role of Isaiah Bradley, but Mantis fucking nails it. And I really have to say it's on the flip coin of Walker, because Walker's having his breakdown and you see Isaiah having his breakdown. Like, they're both revealing like a truth. Oh my, wait, is that the episode, man? They're revealing a truth about themselves.
Yes, it is. Nice.
Walker's revealing the true, like his unstableness, like his vision of the world, and part of his truth is lying to the parents about getting vengeance for their son and all of this other stuff. So like to him, he's not Captain America, because to him the truth is flexible. It's something that can be bent, and that's goes against Steve. And Isaiah, you know, like, I mean, I lost my dad not too long ago, and it just made me miss my dad. Like, it really, like, it got me a bit emotional, and just the conversations that, like, you know, the box of letters, like, you know, like the unknown things that you just don't know. Like my dad was fucking 84. Like Lucy knows stories that my dad told him that I don't know. Like, you know, like there's just like a huge gamut of Black men's lives that just get shunted and just don't get told as stories. And so for them to highlight that with this metaphor, I think was real keen.
I agree with you, Rob. That scene hit me. That was a powerful scene. It hit me deep. Hit me deep in here. I grew up without a dad, but you know, I've spoken to, you know, elderly Black men, and their views of the world are exactly just like Isaiah Bradley. And me, I'm very abrasive on stuff like that. I speak on political views, and the reason why it hit me so hard, Ed, you've seen this on my wall, and me being a cosplayer and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I never had the desire to even cosplay Captain America, because although I agree with Captain America's views, it's the whole outlook of what the world sees as Captain America. What they want, what the world wants as Captain America. When Isaiah said that they would never let a Black man be Captain America, he was right. Because when Isaiah tried to be Captain America, they didn't accept that. The world didn't accept it. They just threw him in the trash. You know, they accepted the white man as Captain America because that's what the world wanted. Even though Isaiah did the right thing, they accepted Steve, but Steve didn't know. Although Steve had the right heart.
It goes to the second half of that part of what he's saying, where he's just like, and no self-respecting Black man would want to. Like,
yeah, that part.
The duality of being Black.
That part, let me speak on that. That part right there, he said that even if there was a Black Captain America, no self-respecting Black man would ever want to be it. And me as a self-respecting Black man, I never saw the desire to be Captain or even try to cosplay. I'm like, I knew what it stood for, but with all that comes all the racial boundaries and the racial aspects. It's just like, you know, I made an exception for Sam, but it's hard. And I used to shit on Sam before all this. Like I used to, before he became what he became in the comic books, I called him a magical Negro, because it was just like, I got tired of seeing all these Black sidekicks.
So yeah, no, my point, like you guys laid it out beautifully, and then like looking at it from the outside, you know, from a white perspective, like wow, I mean, like you see that generational, like the difference, you know. He was Isaiah and John Walker have more in common as far as like being stripped at doing everything that they were told, and then you follow through with it, and then you know, forget it. You know, they're throwaways. And I think both of those guys followed orders. And then you know, if you go back to the Captain America movies, Steve was always following orders, but he was at some point, you know, after the original Captain America, the first Avenger, he comes out of his deep freeze, and he's risen above that. He's like, whoa, wait a second. He sees things from a different perspective. I think that's, you know, that being able to look at it from an outsider's point of view gave him a different perspective, where Isaiah and John Walker were always just following orders, you know. So
Lucy, I did not make that parallel. That is a great observation about Walker and Bradley having similar discrediting, because that also reflects the fact that Walker and Captain America and Steve Rogers end up having similar origin stories, in the sense that Steve does follow orders unless it's better to help people.
Yeah. And when he did it in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, they sent S.H.I.E.L.D. after his ass.
Well, in the origin story of the first Avenger, he breaks rank from the orders, and he goes to go save his friends who are POWs.
Yep.
Then Bradley says that he does the exact same thing, but he's not put on the newspaper. He's arrested. And so they do a great job of having these three characters all overlay on this Venn diagram of being used by the government and how it's done, and that's not even including Bucky. That's not even including Bucky and commentary on the Cold War. And Bradley's going through PTSD on several levels, because I couldn't imagine the torture that he's been through, let alone to decide to go hide in Baltimore.
His garden is beautiful.
I'm sure he's from the neighborhood. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure he's from the neighborhood, but
that's a beautiful garden he keeps.
it is.
So we're going back to the training montage. Bucky shows up to help repair the boat. Just interesting things like, hey, Sam's not going to call on the government to help pay for this boat. Sam's not going to take out a loan. Sam's going to call on his family's friends. His family went out on the limb and helped all these people, and the community comes together to pay it back. Not because he's, just because that's what a community is about. And it was beautiful to see all that come together. And then Bucky comes in, and I just thought it was maybe the best line. So, well, the best buddy cop line. Like, oh, I'm right-handed. I didn't even think about it. Sometimes I just don't think about it. It's like,
that was a great little bit of comedy.
We need some levity throughout all this here too.
I love a good fucking montage. They got me. They did the music. Like, again, we're talking about how these are mini movies, and they're like, you like montages? We're gonna give you 2 montages. That's how dope this is gonna be. Enjoy 2 montages.
Yeah, back to back. The training scene and the boat fix scene.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Great episode. Great fight scene in the beginning, as we've been discussing through this whole review. Outstanding character development, and then we finish meeting. We're about to have the vote at the GRC. Sam gets his briefcase. The lights go out, and shit's about to hit the fan for the final episode. Cut.
Ed, in the episode, just cut it. That's it right there. No outros. You just cut it. When Lucy says cut, fade to black, that's it. That's the episode.